What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Happy New Year to everyone, to all our listeners. We're back. It's the start of 2025. We have to do an episode of Boleros. And kita nyo naman sa title, we're going to talk about a little bit of news recap. We're going to do a little bit of a news recap. Medyo slow news day pa tayo, guys. So, onti lang pag-uusapan natin.
Pasabog.
Wala masyadong major pasabog. Pero it's going to be a long off season. So relax lang kayo, guys. So I think, sorry, by the way, I'm using a new setup. So maybe the mic is not as good. The video is not as good. But we'll figure it out soon. Anyway.
Pogi pa rin naman sa amin. I mean, that has not changed.
Pogi pa rin naman si Gab. Anyway. Na-distract tuloy ako. Nawala na ako sa script ko. Biggest news so far, I guess, the UE Red Warriors deciding not to renew Coach Jack Santiago for the coming season. So, based on the reports, they are searching for a replacement coach. They do have some candidates. I think initially si Cholo Villanueva ang top candidate nila, but based on reports is he doesn't want to leave LaSalle. So, I think they shortlisted 5 coaches, but we're not sure. Maybe there will be more. But what are your thoughts on UE not renewing Coach Jack, first of all? And then maybe we can talk a little bit more about the shortlisted coaches. So Maui, ikaw muna. Thoughts on like UE not renewing Coach Jack?
I can't say I'm not surprised, di ba? After that blunder nung second round, even because even if they, in my opinion, outperformed nung season 87, grabe pa rin yung ending na nung season 88 was too much. I think Coach Jack has probably lost the confidence of the community, not just the team. I don't know what's the rumbling inside. That's probably one of the craziest endings a team has faced in the UAAP after a very hot start. Diba? So I can't say I'm surprised that Coach Jack was axed. I think UE wants to move in another direction. And this coaching change is actually crazy. Kasi if you read the Tiebreaker Times article, the coach that they choose will depend on the players if they're going to stay, diba? I think more than 5 players are monitoring the coaching situation, including their FSA, si Precious Momoe and si John Abate and Molintapa. I think those are the biggest names from the list. Maybe this is the thing that they need, diba? Kasi they've been losing players left and right every year. They were not able to build up a sustainable program, diba? Every year they've been looking for band-aid solutions to try to be able to get to the Final Four. If they got to the Final Four last season, maybe si Coach Jack would have stayed. But I think this is inevitable for UE, diba? For a program that I think UE is the worst program for the past 2 decades. That's crazy to hear coming from somebody who's watched a lot of UE legends, diba? Like the likes of Paulie, James Yap, Artadis, Canaleta. Ang daming prospects na nasa UE, and they've struggled for the better part of the past 2 decades, diba? This is probably where they hit the reset button. I wouldn't be surprised if the players leave. I don't know what's gonna happen next for UE, but maybe this is something they need to do to get to the Final Four. Gab.
About time that Coach Jack Santiago was, not renewed / fired. You could call it that he was fired. Again,
Parang Gab, parang the past few seasons, we've always put him in one of the coaches na in the hot seat. Like every season,
yeah,
it seems like we've talked about him as one of the people in the hot seat.
Yeah, because as Maui said, it's always Band-Aid solution after Band-Aid solution. Yes, they've outperformed nearly every season after season 84, where he was suspended. You have to remember that he was suspended for allegedly telling his players to hit Richie Rivero, diba? I think that was the incident, and then Coach Jamaica took over. Then every season after that, players have left over and over again. Yes, he has introduced a brand of basketball that I like watching. I love watching UE. I told this to you guys in season 85, yung 86, and now 87. I've always loved watching UE because they're so entertaining to watch. Up and down basketball, a ton of three-pointers, fast-paced game. They had great players come and go. It was always entertaining to watch UE game. And they're always in close games. Very entertaining games talaga ang UE. And when they're hot, they're hot. Diba? One of their hottest games was against LaSalle, and one of their other hottest game was the fourth quarter against Ateneo this past season. They're very entertaining to watch when their shot is falling. So, basketball-wise, the on-court product, I think you can't fault Jack Santiago for that. He's produced some of the more entertaining games I've watched in the past 3 seasons in the UAAP. But, as Maui said, the fall was just glorious this season. I think that was the last straw. Na, yes, 5-2 kayo ng first round, but repeatedly failing to get just one win more just to get into the Final Four, I think angered a ton of fans because yun yung mahirap eh. You put a ton of alumni and fans at the peak of their excitement, and then suddenly you disappointed them all. You made them all very angry and frustrated. I think
mahirap pag napaasa.
Oh, exactly. Yung napaasa ang UE community sa kanya, and I think a ton of frustration had to go with Coach Jack. I mean, his rotations were sometimes questionable. John Abate was not playing as much towards the end of the season. I have no idea why. Was running a lot of Precious Momoway post-ups and isolations which were not resulting into points. And that's just the hard part. That's just the tough job of being a coach. When a team plays badly, the coach usually gets the first blame. But it's not the players, it's not the team management, it's usually the coach.
Just ask Mike Brown.
Just ask Mike Brown of the Sacramento Kings. Get him fired over the phones. So
no ball.
I think this. I agree with Maui. I think this was the right decision for the UE Red Warriors. They have to go a new direction. But in my opinion, this does not matter unless you get more cash into UE. They can put
wow.
Very good point.
Keeping it real. The Sultan of Sand, keeping it real.
Yun naman talaga eh. It doesn't matter who you put on the bench, who's calling the shots. If you can't flow enough cash into that program, the same thing is gonna happen to what happened to Coach Jack Santiago. Players are gonna leave over and over again, season after season. That's why Ray Remo got left. I mean, he can say all he wants that he wants to play for a championship, whatever. We all know why you left yung Ray Remo got. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You said you were gonna stay after season 8, yung 86, and then you suddenly a few days later you're leaving. It's not a mystery why. I mean, I think it's very unspoken among all UAP fans. You got the bag in UP, and kudos to you. You got the bag, but that's the problem of UE. They cultivate talent. They find gems. They repeatedly have found gems the past 3 seasons.
Land of opportunity.
Kyle Paranada, Luis Villegas, si
Clint Escamis, MVP.
Clint Escamis, MVP, Gani Stevens, Ray Remogat. Marami. They've had so much talent come through their program the past 3 years and just repeatedly leave. So, in my opinion, yes, was the right decision to let Coach Jack Santiago go, but they need to get cash flowing. Let's just call it as it is. They need to get more money into that program to recruit the top players. It's unfortunately or fortunately, the UAAP is a money game. You gotta get cash. You gotta get sponsors. And if the rumors are true that Strong Group is coming in to revitalize this UE men's basketball program, then that's good news for the UE community.
That's bigger news.
That is the more important news. Not the Coach Jack Santiago leaving. Oh, okay, Maui, go ahead.
O baka bigla si Coach Charles kasama sa package niyan. Coach Charles Chu from St. Benil, but
who knows, diba?
You hit it right, Gab.
Diba? So,
it's a money league.
Lang para sa akin. Yeah, yung it's a money league. It's really a money league. I applaud Coach Jack for what he's done the past 3 seasons for UE. Again, I've loved watching UE the past 3 seasons. But they have to make the Final Four. I mean, they haven't made it since 2009 when they were in the final. So, the past season, this season 87 has just made the UE community hungrier to make the Final Four. I think that's not a question anymore. I mean, they were in the stadiums already. They were in the arenas. They were packed. They were ready to celebrate. So they're hungry. They want a Final Four stint. And I think moving on from Coach Jack Santiago is the first step. But the next important step is definitely getting more money in. Sam, Maui.
I mean, I think you pretty much covered everything. Early prediction lang for you, Gab. Whoever the coach, let's say they pick a coach, sino man yun, is a Final Four with the current team that he has, is a Final Four slot close to reality for the next season? Or are you thinking like long-term in the next 2 seasons?
I think with the right system, kaya naman ng team na to make the Final Four. But in terms of contending for a championship, I don't think that's possible with this team. The fact that they have to play Precious Momoway for 40 minutes says all you need to know about their depth, especially at center or in the front court. They have to get deeper in the front court. They can't rely on Precious for 40 minutes. One, it's very inefficient. He's a very inefficient player. And two, my God, ang nakakapagod yun para kay Precious to get him to 40 straight minutes of basketball. And he's just not a player that you go to yet for isolations, to get you a bucket. He needs to be set up, in my opinion. He's not very good at getting his own shot. It just leads to a ton of turnover. So right now, with the way this roster is constructed, I don't think that they're gonna contend. Can they make the Final Four as a 4th seed? Yeah, I do think they can. It depends on what the other teams do.
Parang ganon.
Oh, it depends on what the other teams do
in
this off-season. Yeah. But as currently constructed and the current roster makeup of the rest of the field, I think they can. I mean, they show that they can win games in the first round of this past season. So, why not, no? But, again, retaining players has been a problem. It's going to continue to be a problem if you don't get the money.
Okay, 2 things, and then I have a follow-up question for Maui. But siguro for me, tama kayo, the writing has been on the wall for a long time. I think every season we talk about Coach Jack Santiago being on the hot seat. It's sad that it had to end like this. I think yun yung sinabi mo, Gab, na yung fall was glorious eh. So, grabe yung fall from grace from yung almost perfect round 1 nila to that tragic round 2. The one thing though that I think is worth mentioning also for UE, bright spot, something to look forward to. Kung sino man yung maging coach sa seniors team is yung juniors team nila is doing really good. Yung juniors team nila,
strong group
supported by strong group. They're doing really good. So if you look at a school like FEU and how they were able to build their team this season with like guys like Pre, Pasaol, a bunch of guys from their juniors division. That's always a good part of building a good program in the seniors, diba? Is you start from grassroots, from your juniors team. Dun ka mag-umpisa. Ateneo, we'll talk more about them later, is getting players from Ateneo de Cebu. So still, there's still that relationship with Ateneo, diba? So I think for UE fans, you're losing Coach Jack Santiago. Maybe it's hard to retain players because you don't have that the same amount of funding as other schools. But good news is you're getting quality players or you're developing quality players in the juniors division. And that's a good first step, I think, for me, for UE. Okay, Maui, there were 5 coaches shortlisted. So wala na si Cholo Villanueva, but you have guys like familiar names, actually, si Boise Samar, who was a former coach of UE, si Coach Eric Altamirano from NU, Frankie Lim, coach of the PBA, tsaka si Ariel Vanguardia, Then there was another coach, si Buendia, I think. So, dun sa shortlist, Mike Buendia, there you go. Dun sa shortlist, any candidate that you like for UE, or if wala dun sa shortlist, anyone else that you think would be a good candidate?
Kung SJA lang usapan, di ba? Why not get Charles Chu from CSB, di ba?
Charles
I think
Chu.
Coach Charles is a player's coach, di ba? Everyone loves him. He's also been part of Gila's programs, but I guess yun yung dream coach if you were to ask me for UE if they're going to go for a coach right now. Although Charles Chu is very promising that he wants to get the championship for CSB before anything else, diba? Because they had a very disappointing season. But I don't know, from the five, si Frankie Lim hasn't been in the college ranks for a long time. Boise Samar could be like Apito Harencio. I don't know if the other three are right coaches at the moment. Diba? Si Coach Eric Altamirano was booted out of NU also in favor of Coach Jeff. Maybe a fresh mind would be the best. So, I think ang youngest yata dito si Mike Buendia. So, maybe si Mike Buendia, there's a reason why maybe he was shortlisted. But as of the moment, Gab is right. It all boils down to them getting the needed funding. College basketball is not only about recruitment using cash, di ba? If we look up the program like UP has 18 assistant coaches, di ba? 9 of them are strength and conditioning coaches, di ba? They also have player development coach, which LaSalle also has. Diba? We've been talking about the people behind the scenes. Why KQ has been getting better, why UP has been developing sila Alarcon. It's not only about getting the right coach right now in the UAAP, diba? I think that's one of the reasons also maybe why Ateneo has struggled, diba? Other teams have outsourced yung development, other teams have had a myriad number of coaches, di ba? It's a different landscape. It wasn't as simple as simple as that as it was maybe 10 years ago, di ba? When you just had to find the right coach to make your right system to be able to recruit. It's all about player development. It's all about empowering yung players also, di ba? There's a reason why, aside from maybe money, there's a reason why players like Pablo decided to go back to LaSalle, why Amos, despite probably getting a lot of money also from Ateneo, decided to move to LaSalle. There's that added luxury when you get a training program that would prepare you for the pros, diba? Kasi it's not only the PBA that players are targeting right now, diba? When a player like Remogat plays for UE, you don't get scouted as much as when you play for UP. Diba? You also go on that trips abroad where you get more exposure, diba? So, it's really about finding the right balance, finding that coach to set up that system, similar to how LaSalle found Coach Topex. And the most important thing is finding that benefactor. Diba? That's the reality of the UAAP. You will not be able to compete if you don't have enough money. Diba? Kasi other teams will just poach your players. It will not stop them. The new rule will not stop them. Diba? I think that's been proven with Mason Amos. Diba? 2 years, players are not looking to play for 5 years anymore in the UAAP. Diba? They want to go pro as soon as possible. That's the new norm. Diba? So, player development, having the right coach, and having a war chest, as they say, diba? When you go to war, a lot of money to build a program. That's very important right now. That's one of the reasons why UST has turned around, diba, the program the past 2 seasons, diba? It's no joke that SMB, that Coach Al Francis is on the forefront of backing up UST right now.
Gab, any picks for the new coach before we move on?
I'm interested in Mike Buendia. I think he's younger than all the other 4 candidates. I'm interested to see what he can bring. Although Coach Santiago, Coach Jack was an older coach and brought a more modern system, so who knows? But Frankie Lim, he won championships in San Beda, but in NLEX, hasn't really impressed me
Yeah.
as much. I mean, Coach Ariel Vanguardia, he's coaching a farm team in Blackwater. So I, I don't know what to make of that. He hasn't really found much success in the PBA.
Well, farm
Coach
team
Eric
din naman yung
Alcantara.
UE, so same lang.
baka pwede naman yung madali yung experience from Blackwater. But Eric Altamirano, I mean, he is a championship coach in the UAAP, knows how to win in the UAAP. He's the one second on my list. That's very interesting. Maybe he's updated the way he plays. I mean, you can't count out that he's won a title. He brought NU their first title in 50 years. So there's that resume. You can't count that out. But I'm interested in Mike Buendia. I mean, I don't know yet what system he's gonna place, but I do think you need to go younger in coaches these days, or coaches who know how to relate to the younger generation. I think that's the current move. Both in all stages of basketball, actually. Kahit sa NBA, you're seeing NBA teams go with younger coaches. Coaches who know how to listen to players, who know how to relate. So maybe that's something that can spark something in UE. Yun nga, kung hindi si Cholo Villanueva na umayaw na, or hindi si Charles Chu na mas bata, maybe si Mike Buendia can bring something. Surprise me. Yun na lang. Pero, again, it's all moot unless they can keep their players. Or else they just reset over and over again.
Okay, so UE fans, comment down below kung sino yung coach na gusto niyo makita for UE. Is it the return of Coach Boise Samar, or do you want fresh blood like a Coach Mike Buendia? Okay, moving on. Let's talk about a school that's close to your hearts. Let's talk about Ateneo, the last place team in season 87. Got an early start when it comes to recruitment kasi tapos agad yung season nila. Not slowing down, recruiting 3 Sacred Heart Ateneo de Cebu kids, and there's another one, yung Phil-Am tama, diba? Si Grayson Rogers. So I know Coach Tab is abroad, or not in the Philippines at least. He's out recruiting. So I want to hear what you guys think about itong mga recruits na to. Have you seen them play? The Sacred Heart kids, sina Jello Rota, si Alden Kainglet, tsaka si Lars Fialvang. Paano ba i-pronounce yun, Gab?
Fialvang, according to Google Translate. But ako, praise the Lord, they did not recruit just guards the whole season. May malaki! Praise the Lord! Thank you! This is nothing but positive news for me. I mean, I know si Jello Marota yung pinaka matunog na pangalan among these 4. He's been known in the Philippine basketball circles for a while now. Went to, I think, Junior NBA, yung tama ba?
Basketball Without Borders.
Basketball Without Borders.
Asia.
Sorry about that. Ayun. So, I mean, he has length. I'm excited what he can bring. Si Lars Fialvang is 6'7". I haven't watched much of Cesafi, to be honest. Just highlights. So I don't want to judge them based on just highlights. I know si Alden Kainglet is a wing who can shoot. We need shooting. Ateneo needs shooting. Perhaps he can crack the lineup, give some much needed floor spacing. But the big thing with me here is Ateneo is using Ateneo de Cebu like it was using the Ateneo de Manila High School back in the day. Well, back in the day, a few years back, with sila Third Ravena and Matt Nieto brothers, David Defonso, SJ Bellingham. So they all came from the Blue Eaglets program. So now that the Magis Eagles are being that team for Ateneo, that just goes to show you how much the Blue Eaglets program of Ateneo de Manila has fallen in the past few seasons. They have not produced that much talent, maybe outside of sila Nieto and si Chris Porter. But this is good. I do hope that the chemistry translates, the camaraderie and chemistry translates. I foresee a lot of the rotation players hopefully coming from the Ateneo de Cebu program. So hopefully that translates for Ateneo. I do like si Michael Asoro. I do hope he gets more run.
I'm a big fan of Asoro too. Yes.
Ako rin. I do hope he gets more run next season. I do think shown me more than what Kyle Gamber has shown or the other guards there. Sayang si Rafi Celis is not there anymore. But I do hope that these three kids you get to play. As for Grayson Rogers, I'll judge him when I see him. I have lost trust in Phil-Am recruits in general, not just of Coach Tab Baldwin, but of the UAAP.
Hindi ka ba hyped?
No, I'm not, Sammy. I'm so skeptical right now. Take a look at Jaden Jones. He barely even touched the floor. Zayn Mahmood.
Ron Jones.
the Ron Zones. Played Div 1 basketball and nothing happened. Only one was in the roster for this season. So yeah, I'm very skeptical of Phil-Am recruits. I'd say this. They do All-Star Magazine does hype up these recruits pretty well. That's all I have to say. They do a good job of shout out to Nabs for and his team for hyping up these recruits. But given the history, I'm very skeptical. I like his height. I mean, he's 6'3". They say he's really athletic. He averaged 20 points a game in high school. All that sounds really good. Very impressive. But again, I want to see him on the floor. Ateneo has a ton of wings and guards. They have a ton. We haven't even talked about the guys in Team B who are still waiting on the wings. Sila Timbro, Marcos Nicolas, and Santi Sauler. Ang dami. There are a lot of guards and wings waiting to crack the lineup. It's the bigs that have got me excited. Because I think if you're 6'6" or 6'7" or 6'8", si Philbang, I think you have a better shot.
The roster.
High chance you definitely make the roster, my guy. So
watch out, Kyle Ong.
Ang saya ni Porter. Yes, I'm not the only big man.
Yep. So that's it. Ateneo's definitely out to rebuild the program. It started this season. Here's what I have to say. When 3 of Ateneo's 4 wins this season came against teams who had no FSA, NU, UE, and NUST. So that just goes to show me that the locals, quote unquote, the locals or the rest of the roster is competent enough. They can pull out wins. A lot of the times, especially if you watch Ateneo this season, they really just get pounded in the paint. They have no answer for bigs, for FSA. So that just goes to show me if they can get at least 1 or 2 competent big men, they can at least compete and fight for the Final Four. Because they've shown me that without FSAs, kaya nilang lumaban against other teams, despite being young. So I believe in the talent. I believe in the coach, most importantly. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see these guys. Maui.
We always say on the podcast that there's 2 recipes, di ba? There's 2 of the most important pieces when you talk about competing in the UAAP, di ba? It's usually the point guard and the big man. I'll say big man because this past season, we had 2 locals, QMB and Mike Phillips also were competent enough to start over the FSAs. I think that's where Ateneo has to focus on during the off season. Although I'm very excited that the Ateneo were able to get yung prospects from Ateneo de Cebu. It's very important to establish kasi, di ba, yung high school program, di ba? It gives you an easy pipeline of talent. It's a more sustainable way of recruitment. I think it's one of the reasons why teams are starting to take notice, di ba? Teams like FEU, UE are much like NU are building up yung high school program nila. Ateneo getting to do this with the school not in Manila is also good. Not just for Ateneo but for prospects all around Vismin, in my opinion. But I love the signing of Jello Rota. Si Jello Rota yung, I think, yung gem in those 3 pieces.
Yeah.
He is a hype. He is somebody who's hype, who's had a good resume, had the experience to play in Basketball Without Borders Asia. A lot of prospects who play there usually pan out sa college, diba? I think some of them are Haland Alarcon, Portsky Padrigao, to name a few. But players who get to compete abroad usually fare very well, diba? Kasi maganda yung scouting and maganda yung training and exposure. Similar to how some of the Gilas youth players really excel when you get to the college ranks. But very positive news for Ateneo. But as I've mentioned, at the end of the day, it will all boil down to if they can get competent big men or competent FSA. I don't think it's gonna be crazy if it's gonna be Balogun. Diba? We laugh about it. We talk about it all
Malay
on the
mo,
show.
yung may improvement
We
si
have nothing
Balogun,
against.
Maui.
That's please Ateneo, don't. Sorry to Balogun. I know Balogun is a very emotional player. If you watch, he cries when Ateneo loses. I like that about him, but I don't think he's the right big man. We've seen it, diba, over the course of the season. When players like Porter, players like Kyle Ong play over you, that's just not acceptable to be able to compete in the UAAP. So that's gonna be the question for Ateneo moving forward. A lot of rumblings, a lot of rumors. I've heard from multiple sources na may FSA na, iba na naman yung FSA. I don't know if it's gonna be as crazy as last season. I was surprised na si Balogun nag-end up kasi leading up to the season, di ba, may rumors na baka palitan pa last minute. I think Ateneo. So, what Balogun was capable of during the preseason pa lang. And I think maybe it wasn't an injury. Maybe they were trying to find another FSA. In my opinion, that could have been a story, di ba, nung last off-season. But it's gonna be all about finding that right big man. Di ba? You cannot compete, di ba? Imagine, Mike Phillips will still be there. How can you match up with a guy like Mike Phillips if you have Porter as your center again for next season, diba? We saw how LaSalle destroyed us during the first round, diba? I think we were tied nung halftime. Then LaSalle just out-rebounded us they had almost the same offensive rebounds as we had total rebounds the whole game, diba? You cannot win a game when that happens, diba? Imagine the number of chances, number of field goal attempts the other team will get, diba? Even if you outshoot them, you cannot win that game. But it's all about gonna be all about finding that FSA. Maybe doon talaga tayo may excite, diba? Kasi if we talk about guards, I think we're covered more or less for next season. Ateneo's looking for another for Tuano and Bahay to maybe take the next step forward, diba? I think Tuano is somebody everyone is expecting to take that leap, another leap for next season. Bongo could also do the same. But Bahay is probably the person that will lead Ateneo for the next few seasons until he gets an offer to go pro. So it's gonna be interesting to see, will Ateneo go for what route Ateneo will go for the big man. Will they go for a big man similar to Porter, could shoot the outside? Or will they go for a big man, an FSA similar to Momoe or sorry, what's the name of the UST FSA? A wing big man. Tongkara. Sorry, Tongkara. Nawala yung thought ko. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see where Ateneo goes, diba? Will they go for a big man who can post up? Will they go for a big man who can shoot from the outside? Diba? It's Ateneo really building up Jared Bahay for next season. I don't want to see Bahay double team near the half court anymore for next season. So I hope they get more shooters. I hope they get more big man. That would be priority number one for Ateneo. Then maybe that distraction of Coach Tab having yung 1-year contract left could we can talk about that another time. They have to recruit the necessary pieces, diba? I think si Gabby's right, diba? Ateneo was able to compete with teams without an FSA. So if they could find a big man competent enough to match up with them, maybe 2 or 3, then maybe Ateneo could be a dark horse Final Four team for next season.
Yep, good points, good points. I love what you guys said. Definitely, Ateneo needs more big men, quality big men. Whether FSA or local doesn't really matter as long as it's playable, solid big men. Gab, I love what you said about Ateneo recruiting the Sacred Heart kids and sort of building yung band of brothers na yon na similar to like that Ateneo High School group with like sina SJ, Nieto kids, 3D Ravenna. Moving on, siguro just to end this short news recap, actually hindi siya short. We have to talk about Andy Gemao, potentially going to UP, yun yung usapan. Now, Maui, you have mentioned na in other news articles, people are saying he could join UP as early as season 88. Some have said na he will join, the earliest he could join is season 89. What's clear though is if Andy Gemao decides to go back to the Philippines, he is going to the UP Fighting Maroons. That's clear. He has ties with Coach Gold. But he will first try to pursue a career in the in Canada. He's actually in Toronto, Canada now. So, what are your reactions to this news? Let's start with you, Maui.
Yeah, I think very maganda yung interaction ko with one of the UP assistant coaches. He mentioned QMB was talking about the Division 1 experience niya. I think that will be the barometer for Andy Gemao. If he gets into a good program, Division 1 program, maybe he doesn't go to UP. If he doesn't get to a Division 1 program, a well-known, a big-time Division 1 program, or maybe gets to Division 2 and Division 3, much like si Kyle Gamber, I think he would decide to go to UP. Diba? Kasi UP has all the facilities, has all the tools. They train abroad. They have a lot of assistant coaches, a lot of player development. I think that's probably his best route. Then he can target going to Korea or Japan. Maganda yung sinabi ni Gab off-air actually kanina. Diba? It all boils down to if the potential is there for Andy, if he can get to Division 1. If all else fails, then maybe then he'll go to UP. I think that's what's been established during the off-season. But conflicting. I think very confusing and conflicting yung reports. This off-season, some people are saying he's in grade 11. Some people are saying he could be eligible as early as season 88. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what's true anymore. Kung eligible ba talaga siya for season 88, will UP find the loophole? Maybe make him take the GED ba? Ano ba yung sa equivalent ng GED sa Philippines that you can get to college agad? I think players like si Gako took this before, but it's a bit unclear. I don't know, but for UP fans, I mean, they have Remogat, di ba? They have Remogat and Alarcon backcourt. You don't need Andy Gemao for season 88 in my opinion, di ba? They have enough talent, di ba? Where will you put Abadiano? Where will you put Baila for next season? I think it's worthwhile to develop these people. We're already part of the program and already know the system, di ba? At the end of the day, remember when UP won the championship this season, where did Coach Gold go? Diba? He went with his regulars, he went with his veterans, he went with players who knew the system, diba? So I would bank that maybe UP could forgo or maybe delay yung recruitment of Andy Gemao, diba? Total, it looks like that they have the inside track. It looks like they're the number one Philippine destination for Andy Gemao. I think they have enough talent in the backcourt. I mean, there's a reason why coaches have said they have the best backcourt rotation in the UAAP. So no rush. Diba? Maybe let Himo further develop abroad. Gab.
This is the news that's not really news. Come on. We knew this months ago. Why was this even news? We knew that if he's going back to the Philippines, he played for UP already in Pinoy Liga. I mean, this is
jersey reveal pa sila no?
Oh, I don't know how this is news, but it is. But to me, if Andy Gemao plays in the Philippines, plays in UP immediately in the next few seasons, I think that's sort of bad for Andy Gemao. It means it hasn't panned out for him in North America. I think his goal is to develop in North America and get to the NBA. I want to see a Filipino kid, a Filipino in the NBA. It doesn't have to be someone tall. Yuki Kawamura is playing in the NBA right now. He's 5'8". So I want to see Andy Gemao get a Div 1 offer and play in Div 1 basketball. I do hope he excels. Yes, going to UP is probably the next best thing, but the best thing for him is to make it in the USA. Let's just say it as it is. Foreign scouts, NBA scouts, they don't look to the UAAP for prospects. Come on. No one does.
Si KK, di ba? Na-scout ng New York?
No. No, Sammy, no way. No. Not even KQ is being scouted in the U, which is why he stayed until he was 23 years old. He's pretty old already for NBA standards. So, for me, he has to go to Div 1 basketball or somewhere where he can get scouted by NBA scouts. If his goal is really to make it to the NBA, and for if it's our goal as Filipinos to see a pure-blooded Filipino make it to the NBA, then we have to root for Andy Gemao to make it in the US. If he plays in the UAAP, that's good for us. We get to watch him. That's good for UP fans, but it's not gonna be good for Andy Gemao. No one's gonna watch him. No NBA scout's gonna take time to go to the Philippines and watch a UAAP basketball game.
Download nila yung Pilipinas Live app. Pwede na.
Mahal pa yung Pilipinas Live sa US,
Mahal lang.
diba?
Mahal lang.
Ang dami na nga ng subscriptions doon. Pilipinas Live ba sila para panood ng UAAP basketball. So yeah, again, it's news, but it's not really news. We all knew this months ago. I do hope for Andy Gemao's sake and for Filipino's sake that he makes it in the US. If he gets into a Div 1 college, I would be so happy for him. And hopefully he gets to stay and play.
So that's it for our quick news recap. Hoping Andy Gemao makes it, fulfills his dream and makes it to the NBA. Be the first Filipino. We're cheering you on, Andy Gemao. We'll do another episode soon, so stay tuned for that. Another interesting segment that we like to do here. So for today's episode, comment down below your thoughts on the UAAP news we discussed. Mga UE fans dyan, comment na kayo. UP fans, where do you want Andy Gemao to go in North America? Ateneo fans, are you hyped? Are you hyped for the big men recruits of Ateneo? We'll see you again.
They're praying in Jesu already, Sam. Nagsimbang gabi na sila.
Nagsimbang gabi na sa Jesu. No? That's it for today's episode. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Happy New Year.